Up. Let me make sure that it's using this microphone. Test, test. There we go. I actually bought this microphone from my phone, but I do like it. Works pretty well. Am I still muted? It's not showing me as muted, so let me know if I'm still muted. I switched which one I was using. So we did have a fan in Hawaii. I gotta look up where he was from. Good morning, Chris. We gained some subscribers last night. Excuse me. All right. Sorry, I'm just looking through. I want to make sure I get everybody's. Well, we did have one in Salt Lake City. I do know that. So let's go ahead and put that one. Salt Lake City. Boom. Place I've been to. You guys hearing me okay? You got me? Good audio? Let's see. Okay, there's the one from Salt Lake City. Kauai, Hawaii. So it's just showing the island. So I'll put it in the center of the island. I understand if you want to put, specifically where they're from. That's fine. That's okay. Yeah. You don't have to, you don't have to come into every stream. So there we go. We have our viewer from Hawaii and our viewer from Salt Lake. And then, we had one in Sheboygan, Michigan. Does it show Sheboygan? I could be confused on. No, okay, yeah, there's Sheboygan. Okay. I was like, am I going crazy? All the way up here near Sault Ste. Marie. Another place I've been. So there we go. We got some. We're getting the viewers in here, and I'm still not through all the comments from last night's video. So once I get through those, I'll be adding more people, I'm sure. So if you're in here and you told me where you're from and it came late, I apologize. I will get to it. I'm looking. So I got my Veteran Nation mug, which is available at veterannationfoundation.com. This is a little bit worn, as you can see, and another piece fell off. So I'm gonna have to get me a new coffee mug. But I definitely Sheboygan. Yeah, Sheboygan is a fun place to say. It's also a very beautiful town. The summers in northern Michigan are just amazing. So I highly recommend it. But yeah, Sheboygan. I used to have friends who lived up in Charlevoix, Michigan. Apparently, also the Ramsey family. Jean-Benet Ramsey. Sorry, I've got the two cats playing at the door. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. So I got a cat on the inside and a cat on the outside playing with each other. I don't know why, but the cats love my room. Absolutely love my room. But Yeah, the Ramsey family had a summer place in Charlevoix, Michigan, and I do remember them talking about that when that whole trial was happening, and that was big. I believe they sold it not too long after, though, and that's when they went down south. How are you all doing today? We added about 100 subscribers due to last night's video, so to all the new subscribers, thank you, and we look forward to having you with us here as part of our support squad. Sorry, my voice is a little bit crackly because I've been coughing all night. I, see, getting back into working out. I've been up to Alpena, Michigan. That's another beautiful place. Definitely. There's bears up there, though. You got to be careful. Make sure you're armed. That's yeah. You don't want to be attacked by bears. What are you all into today? Anything big? It is going to be a quiet day for me, I believe. I am going to make my call to the FBI on the behalf of Jeremy Hill. Look at these two. They closed the door. Hold on. I'm going to open it. They look at me like I'm crazy for opening the door. It's like, you two are the ones, you're the ones doing this. Hopefully, I'll get my international map up, and then all the international people, I'll start adding you guys. I've got my list, so as international people come, I've got my list for it. These cats are crazy. It's at the Besser School of Concrete Technology for Work. Wow, that's a mouthful. So, what did you learn there? Was it lesbian dance theory? Beautiful rainy day in the Ozarks. You know, excuse me. This coffee is. It's got to help me clear these airways. My family we're looking at a family vacation this summer, and I really would love to do the Ozarks. In fact, I recommended Branson. They want nothing of it. Like they're just like no. They keep wanting to do East Coast stuff, and that's fine. The only problem for me is outside of like mid and northern Atlantic, there's not a lot of big airports until you get down to Atlanta. And I'm like, look, if you do something near Atlanta, I can fly in really easy. But they keep picking like the Outer Banks and like all these places. Excuse me. That's the downside of this mic. I can't turn away from it. Yeah, they keep suggesting all these places nowhere near Atlanta, and I'm like, well, it's going to be harder for me. Like I know they're looking at it as it's going to be more expensive. I can actually eat the expense. The problem is if my flight gets delayed or we get rerouted, it's harder to adjust when you're going to places without a major hub. So like we were talking about Florida, but they wanted to go to the panhandle of Florida. And there's no major airports up in the panhandle of Florida. Whereas I said, if let's do something around the Tampa area, let's go to St. Pete or Treasure Island or, Clearwater, I'm throwing out all these places and they're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be difficult. Like I even suggested if they do the panhandle of Florida, I can fly into New Orleans really easy. And I've got a friend who lives in Biloxi who will happily come pick me up. And I said, let us do that. And they were like, no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't come up with something that is reasonable, like they literally asked me to fly into Cincinnati and then drive with them down to Florida. I'm like, I'm not flying 4 hours to drive another 10. Not happening. It doesn't make sense. And they said, well, maybe we'll go to Tennessee. And I was like, okay, there's some great places in Tennessee. There's Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. We've been to that area before. There's Nashville. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do Tennessee. And then they just as quickly as they mentioned it, they backed off it. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not making it easy for me. Like, and like, with the Outer Banks, I fly into DC, and then I was like, look, I've made that drive from DC down to the Outer Banks, and I was like, it is not a fun drive at all. It's boring. There's nothing there, because I believe it's 17 and 95 that run parallel, and those are the two routes, and it sucks. We're getting a new block cuber, so we went up to learn how to work it and work on it. Oh, okay. So no basket weaving at the Besser School of Concrete Technology. Someone was telling me that they went to the Colorado School of Mines, and I thought they said mimes, and I was like, oh, so you learned how to be a French clown, and they were looking at me all weird.
Dad, what are you doing? It's Shark Week.
Lots of drinking. Oh yeah, I bet. I bet. You can sing the bear on the wall song. The beer on the wall. Uh, well, the problem is they want to go somewhere. They want to take their two dogs, and of course, I'll have my dog. My dog's a service dog, so I don't have to really worry. But yeah, they want to take their dogs. You know what? I just remembered I've got a fan in Orange County, California that I need to add. Um, so let me add them. Let's see, San Diego. There we go. Right near Irvine. I forgot about Kim. I got you, Kim. So if she comes in the stream, gotcha. Um, but yeah, so we're trying to devise these plans. Flying to Charlotte, go to the Outer Banks. See, that's the thing. Like Charlotte is so far away from the Outer Banks. That's it's on Charlotte's on the east side of North Carolina. The Outer Banks are on the west side. There's no major airport. Like Raleigh is probably the closest major airport to um, to closest major airport, and even Raleigh is still in the center. Like over here is the Outer Banks. So Wilmington's not a big airport. None of these other ones have any big airports. uh, I could, I guess, fly into Norfolk, but again, that's still that really bad 90 section of 95. It's not fun to drive that. It just sucks. North Carolina and South Carolina are probably the two worst states to travel in, uh, that I have found. Now, I am trying to talk them into Hilton Head because they could come down to Atlanta, pick me up, and then we scoot over. Or I could, I know I could go into Atlanta and then get a quick little puddle jumper to Savannah, and which is not far from Hilton Head. And I also suggest that because we want to take our boys to Paris Island at some point, and Paris Island is right there next to Hilton Head. So to me, that one just makes sense. But what do I know? Be easier with traffic. Traffic's not the issue. Traffic's not the issue. The issue is that you drive for hundreds of miles and there's nothing. Like here in the desert, it's easier. Like if I make long trips out here in the desert, there's going to be stops where I know I can get gas and stuff like that. When I was driving through Southern Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, like you go for like hundreds of miles and there's just nothing but farms. And it's like, okay, but it's just not an easy place to travel. Sorry, got people texting. So yeah, we're gonna get these pins in. Yeah, I-95 in the Carolina suck. Yep. Uh, okay, I address something. I don't. Do we have any Air Force people in here? Because is a base. Oh, it says connection lost. Reconnecting. Okay. Are we reconnected? We lost connection there for a bit. So there is a base. It's an Air Force base in North Carolina, and it's they should have named it like Fort Johnson, but no, it's Fort Seymour Johnson. You have a base named Seymour Johnson. I just want to point that out to you. You probably should have named it after two people and then hyphenated. Now, they want to change the name of all these bases. That's a base that you should change the name of. I used to drive on 95 back and forth between Fort Stewart, Georgia, and North Carolina almost every weekend. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And I'll have to look. Maybe I could find a flight into Wilmington, but I know they're not going to want to drive. With the Outer Banks, that's an hour drive. They're not going to want to do that. That's the problem. It's like, really, you can't make an hour drive? I should sit with you on a 10-hour? Like, really? That's just the issues I'm running into. But yeah, if we went to Branson, Missouri, or Lake of the Ozarks, any of that, I would love it. I've been before. I've been through there. I just wasn't able to stop. I do want to go to Uranus, Missouri, and get a shirt from Uranus, get some fudge from Uranus. All that is there. I love those funny town names. Drinking my Indies coffee this morning. Veteran owned Indies coffee. Check them out. I'm drinking their red roast. Remember, everyone deployed red. So, what type of things do you guys want to do as support squad? I really want, I'm making the FBI thing today. I want to do a petition on Kahanu's doctor, but I need to coordinate with Kahanu because I don't want to do anything he doesn't want me to do. That is where I do handle these things with kid gloves sometimes. Conspiracy Kitty, he is here. We need to get your hat. We need to put your hat on you. I got it over here. Where's it at? I just had it. I just had it out the other day. Where'd it go? Maybe it went into. No, not in there. Oh, here it is. I got your hat. Oh, no, you're going to run off. I got his little tinfoil hat. He ran away. He doesn't like, I've got the iPad right in front of me for the soundboard. He normally likes to lay here. But need a link for your Battle Buddy app. You know what? I'll send you that. It is in the App Store. Here, I'll pull it up. That's what it looks like. This is the iPhone store, so that's the Battle Buddies app. That's what it looks like. Copy link. I'll put it in the Discord for you, Chris. And I will say this. That was the wrong Discord. There we go. There we go. As I do know it's in the Google Play Store. I used to joke about every year hell is freezing over. I've been to Hell, Michigan. Yeah, I have been there. There's also a place up there Not too far. It used to be called the Halfway Inn, but then it got bought by a gentleman who renamed it Big Dick's Halfway Inn, and they sell a lot of T-shirts. Uh, uh, I will say this: anyone interested in helping veterans, we are looking for more mentors on the Battle Buddies app. There's about I want to say there's about 7 of us actively right now. It's not incredibly hard. You're just talking to people and empathizing with them. And then while I'm talking to them, finding out what issues they are, in the meantime, I'll be texting with one of the doctors and appraising them of the situation, like because I evaluate what type of threat they are to themselves. And there's been a couple times where I've told the doctors, look, I think we should notify their local authorities. This person could be a threat to themselves. But that's the goal of it, is so that they don't hurt themselves and that they get some help. And I think and we do follow-ons and stuff like that. So I think we've done some good work and helped some people. Michigan is the only state you can go from paradise to hell in one day. Sure. Well, I don't know. I live in California, and yeah, things go to hell here very quickly. I'm going to be driving. I'll be listening. Yeah, no worries. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'm empathically challenged. you know, for us veterans, it's very easy for us to say, okay, you stupid MFer, listen to me. But, I've gotten some help and said, okay, there are ways to interact with people where I don't have to be like that and calm myself down. I've become more and more empathetic. That's what I'll say.
With all due respect, sir, you're beginning to bore the hell out of me.
Flying to Wilmington, you can always hang out with the corpse in chief. What's that? What's the corpse in chief? Is that a joke that I'm missing? I normally get jokes. Sometimes I miss them though. Wilmington, Delaware. Okay, yeah, okay. You're talking about President Shitpants. Got it. I swear to God, watching the one day I was watching the president, and I was like, this is like watching the world's slowest snuff film. He's slowly dying in front of our eyes. But no, I was talking about Wilmington, North Carolina, not Wilmington, Delaware. I can go from paradise to hell, aka Philadelphia. Yeah, that's okay. It just sent me a notification on my Price is Right video. Some of these apps and their notifications are ridiculous. Like, give me timely stuff. Don't tell me about a week old video. That's the first thing. And then like send me notifications of like when someone ats me. Got it. When that happens, I don't want your promotional notifications. And if you don't give me a way to opt out, it's really frustrating. I-95 in Carolinas is like trying to go through I-75 through Toledo, Ohio without going through construction. Yeah, that's I-75 in Toledo is always under construction, especially the northern side. Avoid the northern side. I grew up in southern Toledo, and the south and western side, a little bit of the southeastern side too, is normally okay. That's where it's almost all 3 lanes. Traffic's almost always moving, but the north side, it goes down to 2 lanes, and that's where you get all the people who are going back and forth to Detroit. That they all like it bottlenecks everybody, and that also goes through. North side goes right through downtown Toledo, because there's the north side of Toledo is really small. Because you've got downtown and central, but then the north side's really small, and then you cross the border into Michigan, and that southeastern Michigan is essentially northern Toledo. How much coke do you think they can give him to make his call? out to Trump. You know, they're I can't believe they want to debate without any audience. Like to me, that's just stupid. Like you should want the people, and I think it's because they want to, pump him full of drugs to keep him going. Um, but still, with that, I think I think this one in June is to really rate to see where he's at. And if these polls keep going, I think they're gonna try to replace him on the Democrat ticket at the convention. They'll say, yeah, he's got some type of medical emergency and can't go. So then they'll bait and switch and put a new candidate on that everybody in the convention says, yeah. But I don't see that as successful. The cat loves to lay on my shoes. He's laying on my shoes right now. I don't think that'll be successful, but I think that's how things right now, at least they're setting up. I could be wrong, though. I have been wrong in the past. I got to pretend to work, but I'll leave the stream up. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Give them an Oscar-worthy performance, TK. Now, how loud do you have your thing set up at work? Because I can now start yelling racial epithets just to have people look your way. Oh, that's a buddy of mine does that. If you're on the phone, if you're on speakerphone and you're going through like a drive-through, he'll start yelling really offensive shit. It's funny. I am not a libertarian, but the older I get, the more libertarian I get. But I don't ever see myself as being full-blown libertarian. And it's funny because, because of my, my stuff that I post about, I get a lot of libertarians who follow me and whatnot. But libertarians love to argue, and I love to argue. So yeah, I've got people, they're messaging me about, hey, this guy follows you and he's coming at me, and because you liked my tweet and he's coming at me, and I'm like, yeah, that's how libertarians are. They like to debate. I have a private office, so yell away. Okay, darn, foiled again by the private office. I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you kids and your dog. Scooby-Doo taught me that real estate developers are essentially evil. Apparently, they did an episode of Scooby-Doo that retconned a lot of the stuff, and the Mystery Machine and the gang were the actual ghosts themselves because they had died in a car accident years prior, and that's why they were haunting fake ghosts. And I'm like, that's an interesting take. Kind of weird. I got to go through and clean up some of these sounds. Some of them are just way too, like, they're not loud enough. And some of them I just don't use. Merrick Garland suffers from little man syndrome. He's mad he didn't get on the Supreme Court seat, so he's trying to get back at the Republicans. That I do agree with. I think you're right. I'll tell you, some of the stuff that he's argued in front of the Supreme Court is so bad. I'm like, I'm so glad this guy didn't get on the court. Like the stuff that they're doing with guns, it's like that none of that is based in any type of law. It's not based in any type of precedent. You're just making it up as you go along. And then you look at the damage they're doing. So, okay, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy, so you guys are probably going to tune out. But I follow a lot of court stuff. And there's a thing out there called the Chevron Doctrine. And it came about during the 80s with an EPA case. And pretty much the courts gave away the ability to kind of review a lot of stuff. They said They said no, it's up to these various parts of the administration to determine what Congress meant when they made these laws. So the problem with that is there's no check and balance. So groups like the ATF, the EPA, the FAA, the FCC, all these different groups, they can take a law that Congress wrote and it was very clear and say, no, that's not what they meant. And that's exactly what the ATF is doing. The ATF is literally changing the definition of what a firearm is so that they can criminalize Americans. Like no kidding. With some of their rule changes, one day you were a law-abiding citizen, the next day you no longer were, and that's not how we do things in the U.S. So there are some challenges that are going in front of the Supreme Court, some this term, some next term, but there's one big one that's going from, it's a case from Louisiana, and I believe this is one that's in front of the court this term, and it looks like it's going to undo the Chevron rule, which is a great thing, but it'll take significant power away from these executive branch agencies, which is a good thing because of what they've been doing is it's just insane. You know, they've abused the Chevron rule, and the DOJ is the prime one, and the DOJ should not be like the DOJ because it's such a big entity. It should not be criminalizing Americans. It should be, uh, that's the Department of Justice should be looking out for justice for Americans, protecting us. That's why I'm going to be contacting the FBI. So Conspiracy Kitty is back. Let's see if he'll let me put this hat on him. Can I put it on you? He's looking at it. Can we put it on you? There we go. Are birds real? How about contrails? Is that the government? Fluoride in the water. Is that to mind control us? There you go. You can go now. He's like, I've had enough of you. More like the Department of Injustice. Yep. It's with these things they're doing. It's like, stop trying to criminalize people. Like, there's already enough laws on the books that it's like, I forget who it was that did a study that said, every American breaks something like 2 to 3 laws every single day, unknowingly most times. So it's hard enough to be a law-abiding citizen, even though you have the intent to be. Just like me with cutting off the tags on my mattresses. Remember that when that was a recurring joke in movies, cutting off I remember Pee Wee Herman. They did it in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. They did a joke about that. But there were other places. I just can't remember the other ones offhand. But yeah, that used to be a recurring joke under the penalty of law. Speaking of conspiracy theories, have you all followed the conspiracy theory that mattress companies are money laundering? Because think about everywhere you go, there's all these mattress companies and they have this huge, they're always doing sales because they have such a huge inventory. But there's like, I don't know of a place that justifies as many mattress stores with as big of inventories as you see out there. So the whole belief is that it's like the mafia and whatnot, money laundering. Don't know how true that is, but it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting theory. Same thing with art galleries as a money laundering operation, because all those paintings are very subjective, but yet they always charge thousands of dollars, and the art galleries are normally in places where like it would be exorbitant rent. Like if I go down to Palm Springs, El Paseo or Palm Canyon are where the art galleries are. Smoke break. Oh, you're gonna go get cancer? Nah, I don't care about people smoking. I'm. What's funny is my mom smoked for years, and now she's like the biggest anti-smoking person. I'm like, you do realize you used to drive us to school, grade school, in a car with the windows up in January, and you think she could have gone 15 minutes without smoking? Nope. And if we complained about the smoke, she'd roll down the window in January when it's freezing. Of course, we've made fun of. Go ahead, dog. The dog's looking at me like I'm crazy. I gotta see it. This only broadcasts in 720p. I gotta see if there's some way for me to up. No, it only gives me two options: 720 and 480. Energy Department is a total mess. Top 10 from the Energy Department. Secretary down. Own major stock in Ford and EV car interest. How can this be legal? That is a big question. Like I get that Congress can do it, but when you get people who work for these government agencies, yeah, they should not be allowed to own stock in a lot of these places. Same thing like if you work for the SEC, you shouldn't be allowed to own stock in hedge funds. You know. Has anyone been following GameStop? I didn't check and see what GameStop's been. GameStop and AMC, those meme stocks. I 2 years ago when it went, I did buy, and I made some pretty good money off of AMC. Okay, so it's back up again to $34 a share. GameStop. What's AMC doing? AMC is down, but it's pretty much holding at $4. Okay, I didn't buy any this time around. I've been buying. Uh, let's see. I've been buying ArcX, Tesla, Home Depot, FedEx, Nvidia. I'm trying to think what else. Trump's company is up again. He's up to $52. Comcast is down. I did buy, and I made some money off Comcast, but I'm still holding Comcast. I'm trying to work with Greg, the flying auditor, and us do a veteran investing group because veterans and military, we do have understanding about like some of these weapon systems and some of these vehicles and stuff that we know that the military is using. And you know, if we have that knowledge and we pull that knowledge, we can actually make money off it. So there are ways to do that. So I'm trying to get something like that together. Thanks for posting your videos and website and all that you do. Hey, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, Double OJ. If you get a chance, if you like what we're doing, go to Veteran Nation Foundation, buy one of our T-shirts or coffee mugs or something. All that money stays with us so that we can help veterans, military, and their families. Everyone, if you could, please hit the like and subscribe and everything. In fact, I'm going to retweet it out so that people can watch the stream. We got 6 people from Twitter in here right now. I'm going to share this to a couple of my groups. Let's see. That group. And if you guys have found me from any of these groups, welcome. Because me really sharing this. I've been posting on Twitter, but me really sharing it is kind of a new thing. There's my other group. Boom. So hopefully we get some people in here watching us. I love getting your guys' comments. So, you know, anything you guys want to talk about. I didn't look through the news of the day. So let me pull up that. We'll see if there's any good news stories. I normally like going through the military times first because I like keeping up on what the military is doing. So there, and then I've always enjoyed reading the USA Today, even though I hate their opinion page. I have been following the Colorado cake baker, his case. It's at the Colorado Court of Appeals, I believe, because he's getting sued for not doing a cake for someone with their gender reveal, and he was targeted. It was someone who didn't like that he didn't do the gay marriage cake, didn't believe he had his Christian values, and then asked for a transgender reveal cake. And yeah, they decided to sue. And of course, they had a crazy judge who violated his Christian rights. But we'll see where it goes. It'll go back to the Supreme Court. I get a feeling, or stop at the U.S. Court of Appeals. Let's see. Ex-Army. I do want to talk about this story. Sorry, I will put these stories up. I'm just looking through. Man, it's all, like, you guys get a feel for some of the stories that I do enjoy. Here, share screen. Window. Okay. Oh, that one. I'm waiting for this to come up. Come on, where you at? Why are you not working? It's insider training. It's Good Boy Network. Yeah, you get a lot of that. So it's saying that it's sharing my screen, but it's not coming up. This is weird. Because I want to share. Well, I'll just talk through these. So, okay. So here's one. The Mirage Casino is going to be closing in July. This is not as big of a deal as what people were making it. They're closing it to renovate it. It'll be back open in 2027. I do like the Mirage as a property. I've stayed there a couple times. My son and I really loved it. I hope that they keep the outside volcano show going while it's closed, because that's a really fun thing. I really don't care about their Beatles Cirque du Soleil show. I'm not a Beatles fan, so I was never going to go to that. But it's going to be Hard Rock Las Vegas. Someone told me that they were going to close the volcano to put the big guitar. I think that's stupid. Like, just put the guitar on the casino itself. Like, that makes more sense. It doesn't say anything in here about the volcano or the big guitar. You think Hard Rock would have learned its lesson when it built its last casino and didn't make any money, and now that's been sold to Virgin Atlantic, and I don't think they're making money off it. Going to put Conspiracy Kitty beside Alex Jones. Yeah, I got to do some. So you can follow Conspiracy Kitty on Twitter. His @ name is at Kitty Conspires. So that's Conspiracy Kitties. That's his Twitter. I do help him post pictures and stuff up there. So yeah, it's a good property. I like that it's got the tram to Treasure Island. Treasure Island, you want to talk about, that's a casino that messed up. They rebranded everything at Treasure Island to get rid of, we can't be the pirate hotel anymore. Right before Pirates of the Caribbean came out. Like, they could have made so much money off that. But yeah, some of these, these are these corporate entities when they take things over. That's why Steve Wynn is so successful in Vegas. Because he runs the stuff. When you get MGM and Caesars, it's a corporate entity. They're trying to do this mass appeal, which does not work. So, that's the problem. Let me try the share screen again, see if I can get it. Oh, it's working now. There we go. Okay. Why is this? No. We'll do it like that. Okay. I like that view. Ex-Army sergeant accused of attempting to spy for China judge mentally unfit to stand trial. Most of these people who do this spy stuff, I would say most of them are mentally unfit. A former Army intelligence sergeant at Joint Base Lewis McCord, charged with trying to sell secrets to the Chinese, has been judged unfit to stand trial according to federal documents. Joseph Daniel Schmidt, 30, was ordered transferred to an unspecified federal psychiatric hospital facility following a May 4th decision by federal district judge John C. Konauer. Don't know if I'm correct on that. In the U.S. District Court of Western Washington. Defendant is presently suffering from mental disease or defect, rendering him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and consequences of the proceedings against him or to assist properly in his defense. Here's the thing. I guarantee you there were warning signs. And they gave this guy a clearance. This is the problem of the military. They do a crap job when they vet these people. And like, I've had cases of people who were clearly Marines who were clearly mentally defective, and the leadership didn't. I was like, no, this person, they've got a medical issue, and the leadership wanted to fight me, and they were like, no, we'll get them out on, we'll process them for admin step and all this other stuff, and I'm like, but it's a medical thing. Like, just process them for medical. It's easy to do, but you get some of these people who are dead set in the military about, we got to make an example, or we have to, this guy's wrong, so we have to do, actual punishment stuff. And it's like, it's like you're not making us look good, because like, I had a case of a guy who I said, this guy's going to shoot up a school or a mall one day. And the problem is they're going to blame the Marine Corps. And they were trying to process him out on, violations of the UCMJ. I was like, no, this is real easy. Get him assigned to a mental hospital. Get him mental help. That's how you process him out. And then if he does any of that stuff, we can be like, oh yeah, we in the military identified him as mentally ill. No one's going to blame Marine training, but if you process him out on judicial punishment type stuff, they will blame Marine training. But you get some of these leaders who, they just want people to know they're in charge. Yeah, and so that's why they'll do stuff like that. Blue Angels will be flying at Traverse City, Michigan's Cherry Festival during the 4th of July. Oh, that's awesome. Traverse City is a very beautiful town, and I highly recommend people visiting that. I remember signing that little piece of paper that said treason equals execution. Right? Here's the thing, though. If he's got a legitimate mental defect, how did he get his clearance? Someone was overlooking something. I guarantee you, there were always. Oh, you're following Conspiracy Kitty. Okay, I'll make sure that he's following you back. See the whistleblower in Australia that was just sentenced to 10 years? No, I did not see that. Here, let me close this up and go, do they have anything? I did see this about a Marine alleged holdups on Okinawa. Holocaust survivor acquaints DODEA students with traumatic past. Online. I will talk about this one. TikTok videos prompt debate over shaving waiver. Okay, we'll open that one up. We'll open this one up. So no, I don't see anything about Australia. So, okay. Soldiers TikTok videos prompt debate over shaving waiver impacts on career. Army Master Sergeant says he lost a leadership role due partly to his beard and haircut has ignited the online debate over the impact of shaving waivers on crews and extent to which service members express themselves on social media. I personally don't have a problem with beards at all. In fact, some of like beards and like some tattoos I don't have a problem with. If you have a sleeve, I got no problem with that. You got a face tattoo or a neck tattoo? No, dude. Seriously, if you have a face or a neck tattoo, you're just an idiot. And you should not be serving. So all these people want to get those waived. No. But beards, I got no problem with beards. Master Sergeant Darren Parker, who has had more than 24,000 followers and 55,000 or 550,000 likes with his TikTok account, celebrated his elevation to first sergeant as part of the Hawaii-based Alpha Company 29th Brigade Engineer Battalion in April 30th video post. Someone in real life was going to see that picture on their wall and be pissed off. Parker says he shows off his command picture while pointing out his haircut and his beard. Well, you're making okay as a military member. You're bringing attention to yourself. Like I didn't start any of this stuff on social media until after I decided I was getting out of the military, and that's when I opened up my Facebook, and it's been private the whole time. So I don't add people I don't know really to my Facebook, and like I'm suspended on Facebook now. I don't care about Facebook. If they remove my account, great. You're not bothering me one bit. Um, now that I know more about social media, yeah. In fact, if they remove my Facebook, I would just focus on YouTube and Twitter. Absolutely. When I was in AIT, I was held back after school because my clearance came back with a felony. The same one that I was told would be waived. Yeah, yeah. They had indications of stuff. YouTube link and X messages. Okay. His name is David McBride, the Australian. Okay, so it was an Australian who was trying to sell secrets. When I look back, Parker said he mostly agreed with counseling regarding his video. When I look back on it, I cringe when I say I agree, but I ain't always right. You're a master sergeant. You should know better. I could have toned down the passion or the "I told you so" attitude. I mean, really, at the end of the day, this is not really a big deal. I think a master sergeant shouldn't. Like, if you were doing social media as education, and I do this, I've got military leadership lessons. I've got a whole playlist of them. If you're doing stuff like that, good on you. Good on you. That's where military people should be. Like, because it's not about bringing attention to yourself. It's about making the force stronger. That's why I do the military leadership lessons, because even though I'm no longer in the military, my oath did not have an expiration date. I still view it as my responsibility to educate our younger military members. So that's why I do those videos. Don't pull out an unloaded gun on live stream or YouTube will kill your feet. Well, yeah, true. But again, there's problems with that, because what if I'm doing a video to show someone how to clean a weapon? You know, that should be allowed. Over half of politicians in Washington D.C. do not have a clearance. They do. Well, do they need a clearance? I don't think most of them do. And those that do, we've seen Adam Schiff come out and just blatantly lie about classified material. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. That should, if you're lying about the classified material, you should lose your clearance over that as well. So that was that story. Let me get rid of that one. Army pares down on training requirements. This one I want to talk about because if there's one thing the military likes to do, it's like, hey, we're going to put in new training requirements, and two, it's mandatory. And like I had people tell me, like I had a CO who was like, well, this is all mandatory. And I'm like, well, is it mandatory or is it mandatory? And he was like, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, if I don't go to the rifle range, okay, if my Marines don't go to the rifle range and they don't get a score, they're non-rec for promotion. Their score is zeroed out. So that's mandatory training. If I don't do my Uncle Sam's OPSEC training, because that's what it was called there for a while, I'm still getting promoted. Like, I'm just a number. If 90% of the battalion has that training done, no one's going to ever care. I'm not going to be held accountable for not doing that training. It just, no one cares. I go, so that's mandatory. And that's what a lot of this stuff is when they put it, like most of that stuff anyway should be biannual. Like if you've done it in the last 2 years. Me and this gunny, we did a thing where we sat down, we started identifying all the training requirements. And we said, okay, if we were to take the 52 weeks of the year, we took out 4 weeks. We took out Christmas and New Year's, and then we took out 2 weeks for the rifle and pistol range. So 1 month out of the year is now off. And we said, okay, if we do every Friday as a training day, where would we get in the Marine Corps training? And we would only have gotten about 2/3 of the training. So that shows you how ridiculous the training is, that even if you set aside every week a whole day for training, you're not going to finish it. I think can't see a gas mask well with a beard. I know that's what they've claimed. There are ways around that, though. There are ways around the gas mask seal. There are ways to have a beard and a good gas mask seal. You keep it well groomed. You gotta say no. It's got to be here. Like it's just like anything else. Just like haircuts, you just give it very specific grooming standards. Oh, they killed your show yesterday. Okay, I didn't know that. I think minimum of 2 years military service would be a good prerequisite for political office. Actually, I think so. I think it should be 2 years of service to the country, not necessarily military service, because there are people who are shitty people and would be horrible in the military. But you should have to do like other things like Peace Corps, and there should be like like the old WPA or a volunteer corps. And I think if you don't serve 2 years giving back to the country, you should not be allowed to vote. I think that should be a requirement to vote. Because it shows that you've at least invested your time and efforts into the goodwill of this country. And think of how many, if we had a volunteer corps, an active volunteer corps, and for people to avoid military service, think of how nice we could make our cities and towns. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to serve in the military? Okay, you got to volunteer 3 times a week at a homeless shelter. Suddenly military service looks pretty good. He wasn't selling, he did a Snowden and released documents. Okay. See, that was my problem with Snowden. I'm not in agreement that you should release documents to the military. I think if Snowden released all of his stuff to, say, someone like Senator Rand Paul, that should fall under whistleblower status. And you should not be prosecuted. What he brought to light was that the NSA is collecting information on Americans illegally. They're collecting information on you and me without a warrant. And they're still allowing those programs. That should not be allowed. I had no problem with the gas mask with my beard. Yeah, there are ways to do it. Just it shouldn't be like a really long, scraggly beard. In fact, his was kind of really long. It should be. You could have a beard, but it should be neat and tidy, and be within certain regs. Then no one will vote. The millennial kids aren't joining because you can't do everything on a computer yet. I think they will join. They would volunteer for their local area. But that would also allow them to realize, one, how destructive drugs can be, and two, how very little impact your government spending can have on things like homelessness and drugs. Spending does not solve the problems. I had someone today, they were like, well, if we, what were we talking? Oh, we were talking about defunding the police, and they said, well, if we funded education, less people would be arrested. It's like, no, 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 that's not the way it works. Throwing money at the problem never solves it. In fact, some of the cities that spend the most on education have the highest crime. Boston spends a ton on education, and it's not really a safe city. Um, Chicago spends a ton on education. You wouldn't get me to spend any time in South Chicago at all. So, throwing money at the problem, and our schools are failing students anyway. Um, I laugh because I went through integrated math back in the 90s. And they were like, oh, this is what they do in Japan. It's going to be good and new. Well, nowadays they call it Common Core. And I can tell you, when I got to college, I had to retake algebra, even though I was a great math and science student, because my test scores, they were like, look, you're like, it shows that you know like these things, but you don't know these things. Well, because of that math, I was never taught those things. So I had to go through a semester of college algebra, which I absolutely excelled at. But uh, this integrated math, which is Common Core math, it does not do anyone a service. It degrades your skills. So just throwing money into these, oh, this is the way it's going to be, it doesn't help at all. In fact, I'm a firm believer they should never teach calculus in high school. I have yet to find one person other than, well, it gives you college credit. Why are they teaching calculus? I took calculus. I was an engineering student for 3 years. I needed calculus. No one else needs calculus, unless if you're going into a STEM field, and most students are not. So why are we teaching calculus in high school? In fact, even if you get taught calculus in high school, you're going to have to retake it in college anyway, uh, because they don't teach it well in high school. I want to get caught up on the comments. We need to get teachers back to actually teach and not be activists. Yeah, that is the whole tenure system, and that is the whole the unions. They have ruined our public education system. What we should do, everyone should have voucher systems. You should be able to go to the school of your choice. Your kids should be able to choose the school. I can tell you what would get people joined. Everyone get health care and a house in exchange for 15 years. Um, I don't know. Military housing isn't that good. um, but I will say this: every veteran out there should be using their VA home loan. It's something I didn't do for the longest time. I kicked myself that I didn't do it. That is a way to gain wealth, and we can do a whole show on that, and we probably should. I taught myself calculus. Here's the thing: what do most people need calculus for? Why do you need to know derivatives if you're not going to be doing, you know, like, okay, if you're doing any type of construction, I get it because you do need to know, statics. Um, but beyond that, if you're an accountant, what do you need calculus for? It's not going to be anything for you. Got to do an online crime scene evidence course. Oh, nice. Sounds like fun. So the Army is eliminating hundreds of hours of online training courses. Service officials say no longer serve the purpose. All they did was delete the courses. They didn't stop the requirements. Let's be honest about it. And I haven't even read the story. Just from that line, it tells me enlisted soldiers are no longer required distance learning courses 1 through 6, which account for 253 hours of mouse clicks and keyboards. On the officer side, distance learning prerequisite for commander's career course and distance learning prerequisite for commanding general staff officers course and no more. The two courses account for a total of 93 hours. We're scrubbing everything we're asking our soldiers to study because there's only so much time during the day to do your job. Oh, okay, maybe I was wrong. But are they replacing it with something? After careful consideration, the Army determined there would be little or no negative impact to the cuts it made. But the Army has to do some subtraction. Walmart said the Army has to do some subtraction to make sure we are teaching
in all those areas, quality, not quantity. Okay, so they are okay. I will eat crow and say I was wrong on that one. Normally, they don't like removing requirements because they like saying, no, this is required. They like ordering people around. They like you to know they're in charge. I was bored and had the textbook. All right, we got 56 or 46 people in here. Most of you guys are on Twitter. Please hit the like, share, subscribe. Do appreciate it. The Mirage. What I'm mad about is that they are tearing down the Tropicana. They're getting a baseball team. The question in Las Vegas is, do we tear down the Tropicana or do we tear down the Rio? Well, the Tropicana it's an old school hotel. It's an old Vegas. I hate they're taking that. The Rio was built in the late 90s, and here's the other thing about it. The Tropicana is on the Strip. So if you're going to build a Major League Baseball stadium on the Strip, you're going to absolutely jack up traffic. The Rio is off Strip, just like how the football stadium is. You're not going to jack up traffic. So I don't like that that's what they're doing. Biden invokes executive privilege to shield Robert Hur interview tapes. This is interesting because because they're trying to get Trump, they've been going after executive privilege and say it doesn't apply for different things. Special counsel Robert Hur testified on President Biden's classified documents during a hearing with the House. So, see, this is a case of they don't want Trump to be able to say executive privilege, but they're trying to claim it. Invoked executive privilege to keep the recording of his deposition about storing classified documents at his home confidential, as House Republicans set 2 committee votes to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt for refusing to release the recording. Office of Legal Counsel determined the recording falls under executive privilege, and Garland shouldn't be punished for following the president's orders to keep the recording confidential, according to Carlos Uriarte. Has long held that executive privilege extends to a closed criminal investigation where disclosure is likely to damage future law enforcement efforts. Okay, now apply it to Trump. Now apply that same thing to Trump. That's the problem. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And of course, in this article, they're not going to break up. They're not going to bring up Trump. Funny. Okay, so let's back up. What else do we want to? Nikki Haley is on a roll in the primaries. Is this a warning sign for Trump? What? Nikki Haley quit the Republican Party but got 20% of the GOP vote in Maryland's Republican primary. 18% in Nebraska, 22% in Indiana. Should Donald Trump be worried? No. Like, it's just protest votes. It's not gonna matter. Like, really, the one who should be worried is Biden, because his opponents are still getting about 10% of the vote, but he's in office. Haley, no, she hurt herself. She'll never run for another political office. She is now damaged goods. I can't believe they're still trying to push this narrative with her. She's done. She'll never, no one will ever take her seriously again. Sorry. At least DeSantis was smart enough to jump out. Employer flavor, no. Made to honor, what? Trump's case needs to be dismissed. They admitted that the FBI tampered. Yeah, absolutely. And Nara admitted that they sent him documents that he never asked for, too. That was the other thing with that. Like, they purposefully sent him those documents so that they could say, oh, you have documents that you shouldn't have. Well, that's not on him. You send him a letter and say, give us these back, and you get them back. That's how you handle that. Yeah, that whole thing is a sham. It's a sham. Angie Harmon sues Instacart delivery driver who allegedly shot dog Oliver. Okay. This is interesting. I haven't heard about this one. Angie Harmon. I do like her as an actress. She's suing Instacart and the delivery driver who fatally shot her dog outside her home in Charlotte, North Carolina in late March. Harmon is suing the grocery delivery service and the driver named in the filing as Christopher Anthony Reed for allegedly trespassing, conversion, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, according to Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Court records obtained by USA Today. The actress is suing Instacart for negligent hiring, negligent representation. The Rizzoli and Isle star is seeking more than $25,000 in damages, but an exact amount would be determined at trial. Our hearts continue to be with Miss Harmon and her family following this disturbing incident, Instacart said in a statement to USA Today. While we cannot comment
Check, 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 check. Okay. I just switched microphones. Apparently, my microphone died. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it was that microphone must have died on me. We've been streaming for an hour, so. Okay, so there we go. Sorry about that. So, yeah, beagles. So her dog was a beagle and was at her home. Beagles are not an aggressive breed. Okay. They've been like, they have cave paintings where beagles are living with humans. They are a hunting breed, but there's no aggression in them, at least towards humans. It's been essentially bred out. It's very rare to have a beagle, and I know this because I had beagles. It's very rare to have a beagle that will snap or bite someone. Very rare. So this is where I'm going to get hate from people. There are gun people out there who think the solution is, well, you have a right to defend yourself, so you can shoot in any instance. That is completely and totally false. For instance, I put up the video, and I'll show you guys the video that this was about, 2-3 weeks ago, where it was the guy that I caught on my neighbor's property. Where is it at here? It's switched. I've got 2 Instagram accounts and it switched. Okay. This one right here, that video. So the amount of like gun bros who are like, oh, you should just shoot him. Like, I wasn't even on my property. So here in California, had I shot that guy, I would be in jail, and rightfully so. And this guy, he was on their property. He wasn't on his property. He shoots a beagle, which is not an aggressive breed. So he's got no proof on him that he was attacked. Nothing, there's no, he has no marks. His pants weren't torn or anything like that. So why you're saying you were shot or you were being attacked, dude? Okay, where's your proof of that? So yeah, she should be able to sue this guy, sue his ass off. The fact that it appears he was doing Instacart under someone else's account is also going to be a major problem for him. So here's my question. Why have Mecklenburg County officials not charged this guy? This is like everything showing is that this is not a good shoot. You can't just go around shooting animals. This is absolutely, what do I say? This is animal abuse. It's reckless use of a firearm. I'll start watching this one, but they should absolutely arrest this guy, Charles Anthony Reed. Does he really spell Anthony with an E? I've never seen that. Is that a misspelling or is that? But yeah, beagles are not a aggressive breed. Aggression has been bred out. What do you want? Shut up. Shut up, dog. So that's an interesting article. Sometimes you got to go below the fold to find stuff. Supreme Court says Supreme Court allows Louisiana's congressional map with new, mostly black district. One lawyer has argued that the issue of voting rights before the Supreme Court called the case a bigger train wreck in recent memory. This madness must end, Louisiana's Attorney General said. It cleared the way for Louisiana to use a congressional map with a second majority black district, a move that has implications for which party wins control of Congress after November elections. Well, only the House, not the Senate. Court's decision made in response to an emergency request from the state officials and voting rights advocates in the latest twist in a years-long battle over the boundaries of the 6 congressional districts involving interplay of race politics and redistricting. Here's the thing: the Voter Rights Act, that portion it's very questionable constitutionally. That's the honest to God's truth. Voting rights advocates who are using the Voting Rights Act, you have to really be cautious with that. It will eventually get overturned by the Supreme Court, in my opinion. You're seeing it that way. The Supreme Court is allowing more and more to go by because, redistricting is a part of our Constitution, and until if you want that taken away, amend the Constitution. Same thing with the Electoral College. There's people trying to do all these weird things with the Electoral College. Just amend the Constitution. That's what you do. The problem is it's hard to amend the Constitution. They don't want to do that type of work. Current former lawmakers say Congress is dysfunctional. Puppy looking out the window. Yeah. I gotta wash all my linens up on my bed today, so that they've been trashing it. What? Oh, these things all moved around. Hold on. I'm not seeing any other good stories in here. Sailor killed in Pearl Harbor, identified in 2019, gets a new burial. Let's see what this one is. Frances Griffin never got the chance to meet her uncle, who was among thousands killed at Pearl Harbor when Japan launched its attack. The 81-year-old has of Frank Heiner's memory is the family's deep lore and heartbreaking letter written after his death from her father. The family will come together to see Hernowitz, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, remains buried at Arlington National Cemetery in a full military ceremony. If I die, my son can do whatever he wants with my body. I do want a stone put in a national cemetery for me. I don't want the cross. I don't want the simple thing. I want a normal stone, not a veteran stone. And I want my epitaph to read, died while saving children from a burning orphanage, regardless of how I die. Because that will make people interested in my story. Magician David Copperfield accused of 16 women of sexual misconduct. All right, facing subject to an extensive investigation by The Guardian. In total, 16 women have come forward of sexual abuse and lewd conduct, including grooming, groping, drugging, and rape. Many of the women are identified in the investigation using the pseudonyms to protect their identities. Okay, what are they? Let's find out what they're really. I'm devoting myself to science. Any specific type of science? I was trolling Hillary Clinton last night. Got her ass. Dave requests the evidence. He alleges he groomed her when she was a teen. She claims she was 15 when she met Copperfield at a show of his in 1991. Said he was approached by the magician after briefly appearing in performance. Special guest. Despite being underage, Carla alleges took her phone number and promised to take the teen out for dinner when she turned 18. That's not necessarily grooming. He kept in touch with Carla by sending the young woman notes and gifts. Okay. I get it. I get it. Attending another Copperfield. Okay, where he allegedly kissed the teen and pushed her head towards his crotch, which she took to mean perform oral sex. She later had penetrative sex, who was 37 at the time after she turned 18. Relationship is consensual. Also, power and financial imbalance. But there was no power financial imbalance. You were willingly in the relationship. It's not like you were working for him. I want to be plasticized when I die and be hand-me-down Korak. Why would he continue to reach out to me through the years if he wasn't planning on pouncing as soon as I turned 18? Okay, yeah, I get that, but grooming is a tough thing, I don't like grooming, but when you're talking legally, it's a tough thing. Now this one, okay, drugged and raped her. This I'm interested in. Met Copperfield in the early 90s, invited to join the Illusionists on stage. Assistant approached him and asked if they'd like to have a drink after his next performance. His hotel suite, given a glass of Sambuca to drink. After the drink, she began to feel physically weird and subsequently blacked out for a while. Here's the problem. Most people don't talk when these things happen. They don't talk about it until years later. So I don't know if they can hold him, if they'll really be able to hold him liable legally. Just let everyone know he's a creep. You know, that's the thing. Groping a teen on stage during performance. Required to place his arms around Lily, who was 14 or 15 at the time, while they both held onto her. While holding the rope, the woman alleges Copperfield's forearms went up and down on my chest while he was performing the trick. I kind of spaced out and froze. I felt really gross and embarrassed. Describes Lily any unlawful touching over many years. Okay. A woman named Lacey alleged that in 2007 the magician raped her while on his private island. Why are you going to his private island? Pretty much, if anyone's inviting you to their private island, they're gonna rape the shit out of you. Being invited to a private island is, hey, you want to be raped? You know, it's like that. It's Always Sunny. You know, because of the implication. You can't leave. Dropped her sexual assault lawsuit against Copperfield, according to People magazine. Subjects her to intense scrutiny and constant surveillance while her family, friends, and coworkers had been besieged with subpoenas and demands for personal information. Well, the FBI should still have records of that investigation. Very interesting. Let's see. All right, so that's pretty much it of all the stories. I gotta get running here. I've been on this too long. But those are the parents didn't teach them stranger danger, right? Oh, stranger danger doesn't apply when it's a rich, famous magician, right? Well, every time I go to see a magic deck, I feel like I've been raped. Raped of my money and my wallet. Especially Chris Angel. Chris Angel, mind freak. Oh my God, his show was so bad. Did you ever watch his TV show? It was horrible. Mind freak. Whatever, dude. Shut up, you emo douchebag. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get going. I got stuff I got to do today. Thank you all for joining. Please go to Veteran Nation Foundation, buy some of our merch. I will be calling the FBI today to support Jeremy Hales. Check out his YouTube channel, What the Hales, especially his most recent video about what his sheriff's department is not doing for him. And yeah, I might be back later on today. We'll see. Check out Chris Stockton's show, Chatting with Sasquatch, right here on YouTube. He also C-Stock 1976 on Twitter. Make sure you're following him if you're on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. That's stupid. It was easier to figure out how I did it. Shaq Balloon was one of my, if you want to see how bad Chris Angel stuff is, just go watch a video on YouTube. Just type in Shaq Balloon. They did a balloon of Shaquille O'Neal. It was stupid. So thank you everyone for joining and for listening to me run my suck. And as always, thank you for being worth serving.